Welcome to Noah Yachting's video check-in for Catamaran the Graduate. The Graduate is a 2015 Lagoon 450. Let's get you on board and show you how she works. When starting your engines, make sure first that your engines are in neutral. They should be lined up with this neutral symbol here, and if you push in the button to disengage the gear, move the lever forward, pull it back, and when it clicks out, it is in neutral. Hold down power to start the contact. After the alarm sounds, hold down start for 2 seconds. Make sure you have a healthy flow of water coming out of the outtake to ensure the cooling systems are running properly. To excite your engines, in neutral, push in the button and move forward on the gear lever. To stop your engines, hold down stop and then turn off the power to the contact. Here at the Helm station on top of the flybridge, you have all of your controls for your engines and your navigation equipment. Down here you have your port engine control and your starboard engine control. Also here you have the switches for your port hull bilge pump and starboard hull bilge pumps. The B&G GPS system is a touchscreen system where you can pan, zoom and select detail on the chart. You can also select multiple pages of information from Autopilot to sailing steering or combination charts. Here you also have 2 more panels for displays, which you can change the display by selecting the page button. Your autopilot controls are here. To engage your autopilot, press auto and the boat will hold your heading. To increase your bearing to starboard, press +1 or +10 degrees. To change your bearing to port, press -10. To helm manually, press standby. Make sure you do not force the helm if it is in automatic. Press standby to double check you are in manual helming. Also here you have the quick anchor control. In order for the anchors to work, the engine must be running. Once you start the engine, your quick control will start here. You can control the chain going up and down from this point. Make sure you have someone watching the anchor to ensure that nothing gets caught and you do not over tighten when bringing the anchor up. When anchoring, ensure that you are in neutral and you have your revs excited to 1500 to 2000 revs in order to help charge the batteries while you're running the windlass. When anchoring on board the Graduate, first undo the safety line on the cleat to let the anchor fall into the water, then remove the anchor windlass control located in this locker here. The anchor control has 2 buttons, up and down, for raising and lowering the anchor. Press on the down button to release the anchor. If the anchor does not fall straight down, you need to let out a little bit of chain and help it across the bowsprit. The chain is marked in inches of 10 meters, green is marked with 10 meters, yellow 20, red 30. When raising the anchor, if the windlass starts to strain, stop and wait for the boat to get closer to the anchor. Always raise the last part slowly to avoid damaging the boat. Retie on the safety line and return the control to the locker. When you're finished anchoring, bring the gear levers back to the neutral position, the button will pop out and then you can engage in gear. Your emergency tiller is located inside the forward port locker. To operate your emergency tiller, remove the cap first and then place the emergency tiller down onto the rudder post. You can then steer the boat with this tiller. There are extra attachments for leverage located in the locker which you can add on to this handle. Your generator is located here in the forward starboard locker. Also in here are the battery switches and negative for the generator batteries. In this position they are here on, turn them 90 degrees to turn off. Also the fuel cutoff to the generator is here on the silver handle, and then you have the main switchboard for the generator fuse breakers. If your generator power is not working, check these fuses here to make sure the power is turned on. The manual start and stop controls are here on the generator. Also the emergency stop is located here. The Graduate has 2 electric winches on board. The main electric winch for your sailing winch is here on the starboard side of the helm station. This is controlled by these 2 buttons here. One speed for slow and another speed for fast. When wrapping this, always wrap clockwise around the winch and be very careful at what you're pulling in, as it is very strong. Both speeds on the winch turn the same direction in clockwise. You can use this winch for your main halyard or any lines and sheets coming through to this point, and also with your furling line coming from back here via the secondary winch here to the electric winch. Your technician will check all of your sails are in good working order before your charter. If you would like to check these, put these up or roll them out as the weather conditions allow it, with 2 people at least, and check over them. If there are any issues or defects, take photos with your mobile phone and report these to the office. When raising your mainsail on the Graduate, you have your main halyard here, which you can operate onto the winch. You also have a separate line here, which is a downhaul line to help pull the mainsail down. Make sure you release this before raising your main and feed it out evenly as it goes up. You can use this line when you are releasing the main down to pull in and help the mainsail drop with gravity. Your LPG cooking gas bottles are located here underneath this cockpit seat. Turn on your bottles by rotating this anti-clockwise, and turn off or close the bottle by rotating clockwise. When you need to change your bottle, make sure the valve is turned off. Rotate the bottle while holding the main unit. Put the new bottle placed carefully over the valve and rotate to tighten. Then open, turning counterclockwise. Your extra equipment is located here underneath this lazarette in the cockpit. In here you have a bucket for bailing, deck brush, hose for refilling your fuel tanks, spare anchor and chain, covers for the helm station, one fire extinguisher here and a second fire extinguisher here. This is the cushion seat for the anchor locker in the tender, in the dinghy, pump for the dinghy, and a flagpole. The manual bilge pump handles are located underneath this lazarette locker lid. To operate the manual bilge pump, place the handle into the pump slot and pump vertically. This pump operates the port hull manual bilge pump. This one is the starboard hull manual bilge pump. You have two handles mounted up under the lazarette here. The Liferaft is located underneath this section of the deck here and secured on straps with these two mounts. The cockpit shower is located here on the aft starboard stern. To operate this, pull out the shower. You can adjust the power of the water here by pushing this laterally, and the mix by turning it anti-clockwise or clockwise. Somewhere in the middle will be warm. Turn off, push this laterally across. On board the Graduate you have two Shorepower cables. One is for the climatization or the air conditioning, and the other for the shore power. Both of these are the same cable, 32 amp here and 16 amp on the dock. The Shorepower breaker switch is located in the aft starboard engine bay. In here, above the wooden platforms, you can see your Shorepower breaker switch. If you have problems with your Shorepower, check this breaker to see if it is still on. If not, reset to the on position. The Graduate has 6 fire extinguishers located throughout the boat. One underneath the navigation table, one underneath the saloon cushions here, 2 in the outside equipment locker, and 1 in each of the engine bays. Your safety equipment is located in 2 places in the saloon. Underneath the chart table seat and underneath the chart table, and also underneath the saloon seat on the starboard side. Here you have your first aid kit, a dry bag, sea anchor drogue, your flares, day shapes for motor sailing and anchoring, secondary first aid kit that was in this locker, your bosun's chair, thermal blankets, and your harness and tethers. You have a whole set of harness and tethers in underneath this locker here. This is also the location of all of your life jackets. The cooking gas shutoff valve is located underneath the oven here. In this position here, it is open in line with the valve. In this position here, it is closed across the valve. Close these once you're finished cooking, then turn the gas off at the bottom. At the chart table, you have your navigational charts for your cruising grounds in Croatia. Inside here, you have your plotting equipment, compass and dividers, hand-bearing compass and stationary, also the key for the yacht. In this drawer, you have your manuals, B&G for the yacht, your Adriatic Sea Pilot and light lists for Croatia, and the Nautical More cruising guides and information booklets. You also in this drawer have the manuals, user guides for the Lagoon 450. In the top drawer you have your spare engine parts, impeller and belts for the engine, and spare shackles. Also the tool for opening the diesel and water tank fill points. In the bottom drawer at the chart table you have your extra safety equipment. You have a flashlight, axe for emergencies, an extra smoke flare, binoculars and your foghorn. Your VHF radio is located here at the chart table. To turn the radio on, rotate this switch here, which is also the volume switch. Adjust the volume with this. The international distress and calling channel is channel 16. Change your channel with this dial here. Artsy marinas and most port authorities around Croatia are listening on channel 17. Adjust the sensitivity or squelch of your radio here. The Graduate has 2 fridges inside the saloon here. One here, drawer opening like this, with a cool box in the top, and the second fridge here, same with a cool box in the top. You can adjust these with the temperature in the dial. We suggest putting these to about 4 or 5 in the middle to save power. All 3 fridges, these 2 in the saloon and the one outside, are all connected on the one switch in the main control panel. Your main control panel for all of your electrics on board, your 12 volt and 230 volt systems, generator, air conditioning and mains is all located here in this cupboard on the starboard side by the steps. This section here to the left operates your 220 volt AC system. At the moment we are plugged into Shorepower and registering our 233 volts. Here you have your switch for your battery chargers, your water heater and your outlets throughout the yacht. This section here is for your 12 volt system on board the Graduate. Here you can check on the display your voltage for your batteries, the levels of your water tanks. Press 1 for the first tank, second tank, third tank and fourth tank. Or your fuel levels, carburant for fuel tank 1 and fuel tank 2. This switch here operates all of the cabin lights on board the boat. Here you have your navigation and sailing lights. This switch here is a dual switch. When you switch it to number 1 on the left, it is just sailing lights. When you switch it to the center, everything is off, and to the right, motoring lights. Make sure you switch these off once you reach the dock. Turn on your anchor light here and the panel light here. This 12-volt charging port will work all the time while the house system is on, even when you're sailing with no generator. Here you have your flood deck light for on-deck light at night. Your navigation equipment is turned on here, including your GPS and autopilot. Your fridges, your water pump is on here, and when this is on, it shows that the pump is operating. Here you have your bilge pump control. Now these are not auto and manual as the switch says. When you turn the switch here to 1, the starboard side hull bilge pump will run. In the middle, no bilge pumps, and on the right, the port side bilge pump will run. Here we have the operation between AC power, shore power, and our generator power. These switches here show which one we are using at the time. At the moment, we are on, connected to the shore power on both systems. Once we turn the generator on, we can change this over. To operate the generator, hold down Start. This will automatically preheat and prime the generator and then start. Hold this switch for the entire process. Once you hear the engine running, let go. Now that you have green, it is operating correctly. To switch over to generator power, turn off your shore power, slide up the locks, and then turn on the generator power. Now your house 220-volt system and your climatization or air conditioning will run from the generator power. To stop the generator, hold down Stop. To return to shore power, turn these off, drop the locks, and turn back onto shore power. The main breakers and switches for the 230-volt system, for the generator and for the house system is located here in this cupboard in the aft starboard cabin. Under here is the main switch for the generator power inputs. If these have flicked to off, come in and reset them if your generator power is not running. Here for the main 230-volt system, you have the air conditioning controls. All of these switches should be in this position on, showing red up. Here we have the port forward air conditioning breaker, the starboard forward air conditioning breaker, the salon air conditioning breaker, the port aft air conditioning breaker, and the starboard aft air conditioning breaker. You then have the air conditioning pump breaker and the second air conditioning pump breaker. Also in this cupboard we have the thermal fuses for the electric sailing winches. This one here is for the Davits electric winch. In this position here it is on. If it flicks off here, or if you do not have power to your winch, come and check this breaker and return it to the on point. Same here with the starboard Genoa winch at the helm station. If this has flicked off and you have no power to your winch, reset this here. The main battery switches for the starboard engine and the domestic house system are located here in the aft starboard cabin. This is the house system, the engine. In these positions they are on and laterally they are off. This is the negative for the entire system, and this is the breaker for the anchor windlass. If the anchor windlass trips out and is not working, come here and check this fuse. If it is in this position, reset it and then try again. The main battery switch for the port engine is located here in the aft port cabin in this cupboard. In this position the switch is on, in this position the switch is off. Also in this cupboard is the couplage or parallel emergency switch. If you need to bridge your engine battery with your house system in order to start due to it being flat, put this key in here and rotate. It will now be connected in parallel and give you extra power to start your engine. Once your engine is started, make sure you take this switch out. If you have to use this switch, notify Genoa services immediately to let them know that you have battery issues. On board the Graduate you have 1,000 litres of capacity of fresh water spread over 4 different tanks. You can check these at the control panel, the levels of each tank. There are 2 tanks in each hull, one forward in each hull and one aft in each hull. These tanks on the starboard side, forward and aft, are connected to one fill point. Fill this with your fresh water here. On the port side is the same, the 2 tanks are connected to one fill point. Fill this as seen here. To change over between your port and starboard water tanks, the valve is located in the port aft cabin in the hallway cupboard here. When the valve is in this position, turn 90 degrees here to change water tanks. Here you're using the starboard tanks. Here you are using the port water tanks. The Graduate has 2 engines and 2 diesel tanks, one on the port side and one on the starboard side. You can fill these diesel tanks on the port stern and the starboard stern in these positions. On the starboard side you need this tool from the chart table drawer to undo the diesel tank cap. And on the port side you need this tool or any winch handle to undo the cap and fill the tanks. Make sure to fill the tanks slowly so that they do not overflow and waste diesel, spilling it into the ocean. The Graduate has air conditioning throughout the yacht, including a controller for here in the saloon and one in each cabin. To operate your air conditioning, ensure you are either plugged into Shorepower 230 volts or your generator is running and you have chosen the correct power routage for your generator or Shorepower on the main switchboard. Then your panel should be on. You can turn the panels on and off by pressing power. You can adjust the temperature and mode with these buttons here and put the fan on manual or auto. All of the toilets on board have a black water holding tank. The valves on the starboard side are located here, just below the steps down to the starboard hull. Lift up this panel. Here you have the 2 valves. In this position, they are both open. This is for the forward tank and this is for the aft tank. Rotate 90 degrees to close. And open. The Blackwater holding tank valves for the port side heads are located in the aft port cabin underneath the cabin sole here. You need to close the door and then lift up this panel. This valve here is for the aft bathroom and in this position it is closed. This valve here is for the forward bathroom and is closed also. Rotate 90 degrees to open your tanks. To operate the electric pump toilets, you have electric controls here and here. This button is used to pump water in and pump waste out at the same time. This button here is used just to remove water or waste. This button here is to bring water into the bowl. And this button here is used just to remove water or waste from the bowl. When you're going sailing, best to remove all of the water from the bowl so to avoid spills. Before going to the toilet, make sure there is some water in the bowl to start with. Check that your holding tank valve is either open or closed depending on your position. And then, after you've gone to the toilet, remove the waste and flush by holding down this button for 8 to 10 seconds. You need to hold it down for 8 to 10 seconds so that it can remove the waste, pump it up through the lines and then down into the holding tank. Remember, nothing that doesn't come out of your body goes down the toilet. Use the bins provided for sanitary products and toilet paper, then remove the waste once you're on shore. All showers on board the Graduate are electric pump showers. They are controlled by these black switches here. Push and the shower will pump for a certain period of time. Keep pushing this until all of the water is gone. The second electric winch is located here on the stern for raising the dinghy. To release the dinghy, you need to control both lines coming off the davits, open the clutches and lower down slowly. Use the winch to lower down the heavy motor end of the dinghy and handle the other one with another person. Ensure you lower the dinghy very slowly as to not swing and have it damage the boat. Make sure you get hold of the bow line before unclipping your davit lines. To start your engine, make sure you have your kill cord connected to your wrist of the tiller hand you're driving with. Place the throttle to the start position. Open the choke. Connect your fuel and pump a small amount through until the valve is tight. Make sure your gear lever is in neutral. Adjust your choke accordingly while warming the engine up to help it warm up. And be careful your elbow is not going to hit anything when you pull the pull cord. To engage in forward gear, pull this lever forward, neutral and center, and reverse backwards. To stop the engine, push in the stop button. When raising the dinghy, make sure you've clipped on your davits in the correct positions. Put the davit line that is lifting the engine onto the electric winch, and you can control this with your foot. Be careful not to over tighten this into the davits. This is plenty high enough, and then you can secure the dinghy with the two lines from the dinghy onto the aft cleats. Close your clutches. Make sure to close these so that no one can step on them and operate them accidentally. After using the dinghy and the outboard, the davits, ensure that all of these lines are looped up and tied up correctly so that nothing is hanging down. These are one of the biggest dangers for getting caught in your main engine propellers. Thank you for watching this video check-in for the 2015 Lagoon 450. I hope you have an amazing week. See you when you get back.